So cash is king and you don't have any money. How do you end up getting that gecko? Stick around. I'll show you 5 different ways that I've come up with to get a gecko even if you don't have any money right now. So did you go and see an amazing gecko on Morph Market, or maybe one that just blew you away on social media, but you have no cash in hand, no way to pay for it? Well, today I'm going to show you 5 different ways that you could potentially get what you need to get that gecko. The first thing that I'm going to recommend is to look around your house, right? See what you're using, see what you're not using. There might be value in things that are just collecting dust. So, for example, what I did is I looked around my house and found some weights that I never use. I probably should use them, but they were dumbbells and they're worth a little bit of money. And I posted them on social media market sites and a few different apps. And within a few days, they were sold, and I had the cash in hand to buy the gecko that I wanted. I've looked at other things around my house too that, you're not going to get money for junk, but there are certain things maybe that have some value. So I was gifted a kayak that, maybe in 10 years I'll use with my kids, but for right now, I'm just not going to be using it. So I'd rather sell that, at a good price, get some money, and invest it in something I can use today. Now, don't go just looking around and selling stuff that you need or that you're going to, stretch yourself thin financially because you're going to have to buy it again in 6 months. But be smart. If there's something around your house that just doesn't serve a purpose anymore, that you could get something out of it financially, look into it. I'll give you one more example. So the tanks, I had a bunch of different tanks that I bought when I first started, and they're all different sizes, makes, models, and I'm like, you know what? I want to go and buy tanks that are all uniform. So I went and I sold all those random size individual glass tanks, and made some money, got some money back, and then I invested in what I truly wanted. So think about it that way, might get you the cash you need to buy that gecko. The second way that I've been able to afford some of my geckos is waiting for tax returns, birthdays, Christmas. The older you get, the less money you're probably going to get. But what I would do is I would tell people in my life that I'm interested in, a gecko or a tank or something like that. And instead of just having to save up my money, because I don't want to spend the money that I make at my day job on my geckos, um, I kind of see any of these special holiday kind of things or birthdays as potential money that's a little bit separate. Maybe I'm playing mental gymnastics here, but money's money, and if I can justify it and not feel like I'm spending my hard-earned cash on geckos, then I'm totally okay with that. Option number 3 is not about necessarily getting money, but it's about getting value so that you could potentially offer value to whoever is owning the gecko that you want to acquire. So that could be a trade, right? Maybe you have multiple babies or a subadult that you're willing to trade for a different higher value gecko. Sometimes people are open to ideas. You never know what people are open to until you ask them, right? You don't want to offend them and say, hey, I'll give you all these, kind of low tier geckos for your A plus S tier gecko, right? But if you're reasonable and you can be really subjective of what your geckos are worth versus what you're offering, if you can make a pitch, maybe they're looking for those blotches that you own, but you're looking for the stripe that they're selling. It can be potentially beneficial, right? And I've pitched to a lot of different breeders out there potential trades, and I've done a few trades and they've worked out great, but I get rejected a ton, right? No, that's not what I'm looking for here, right? So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and ask for a trade, just like you wouldn't be afraid to say, hey, Can I get free shipping on that gecko if I'm not negotiating the price, right? A lot of times people will say yes to little things like that, 10, 20% value in negotiation. You're not trying to gouge people, you're not trying to trick people. But if you see it's fair and they see it's fair, maybe the value in your geckos in a trade could get you the gecko that you want. The next thing you can do to get a little bit of extra cash in your pocket is to do another side hustle, right? You could go and Uber, you could, run some food errands for people. There's tons of apps out there where you can earn a little extra cash with your time. What I ended up doing to do a little extra side hustle, other than my gecko side hustle, would be to utilize what I had in my house. So I actually had a Cricut machine that my wife was gifted. It sat there unused since like week 2 of owning it. And I got pretty creative with some graphic design stuff. And I went and made a logo for my local town. And basically advertised this logo saying, if you guys want it as a car decal, I put it on my car, which was free advertising, and then posted on a local group saying, hey, I'm selling these for X amount of dollars. Would anybody be interested? And it worked out. People actually bought my logos. And so I took that money and rolled it into buying a new gecko. So that was just another creative way. Get creative. There's, a lot of different YouTube channels on how to earn extra cash with different side hustles. Lean into something you'd enjoy, right? But get creative and find something that can earn you a few bucks here or there. You can even do something as simple as pet sitting locally. A lot of people expect kids to do that, but if you're, in your 20s, 30s even, and you're willing to go and be a responsible adult that goes and dog sits or pet sits, maybe an exotic pet sitter because you have experience with reptiles, that could be something you could advertise to your local town to get money that you could then use to pay for a new gecko. Now, before we get into my final tip on how to make it so you can afford that gecko that you're eyeing, I want to tell you one tip to avoid. All right, I am not a financial planner. I am not an expert in finances whatsoever. But in today's world, and really in any world, try not to just put it on the credit card. Unless this is your business and you have a business plan and you have an idea of exactly what your end goal is, I would recommend not stretching yourself thin for something like a gecko. They are not great investments. They're a great investment if what you're getting back is the time with the animal and you're enjoying the experience. But even to break even, okay, I'm in year 3.5, almost 4 of this, and I've invested so much into these geckos. And my wife keeps a detailed spreadsheet of exactly everything from the food to the enclosures to the things that I tried, the bins that I bought, and the screen that I bought that I no longer use anymore. It all needs to be tracked in a spreadsheet. And to put all of that on a credit card with a high interest rate, if you don't have the money, don't buy the gecko, okay? Because there are things that are going to come up, whether it be a vet bill or, the next thing that you want to see in the next gecko. Just, be financially responsible. So that's why I'm trying to give you guys a few tips of how to get the money before you spend it. Live within your means. I think, whether we're talking about geckos or anything else in the world, I'm not trying to lecture you here, but please don't stretch yourself thin with geckos because, the market fluctuates and right now we're in a downtime and you never know where the bottom is. So it's a gamble. So the fifth and final tip I have for everybody looking to buy a new gecko that doesn't have the money right now is to do it the old-fashioned way. Save. Look at your lifestyle. Do you really need the Starbucks this morning, right? That cost you $6. Do you really? Is there anywhere else you can cut back? Maybe if you go to the barber shop with the cash only $20 haircut versus the $70 haircut with the new boutique. Look at different places in your life where you can cut back slightly and budget and put away money, right? Maybe you don't do any of those things, but you just look at your paycheck and you go, all right, I am going to take part of my paycheck and put it into my hobby. And so you initially, when you get paid, you take $50 of every paycheck and you put it aside, and that's your Gecko fund. And that will build over time. It's not going to happen instantly. But $50 this month, $50 next month, and all of a sudden you're looking at buying a $300 Gecko, you can get there relatively quickly, right? And even if you're looking at a $1,000 Gecko or something a little more expensive, put some of these tips together and it may happen a little bit faster. But be patient. If you don't have the money, save up. Do it the traditional way. It does work. Well, hopefully these tips did help you out a little bit. I've utilized every single one of the tips that I'm giving right now, and there are geckos that I would love to buy today that I'm still implementing these tips. There's a few. I'll post a picture here and here of 2 geckos that I would die for and pick up if I had the money right this second, and they're both on Morph Market. So have some fun. This is a long-term hobby. These guys live a really long time, and so it's worth saving up for the gecko of your dreams. Don't just buy the first thing that you can afford. Do your research, look to see what's out there, and have some fun saving up the money. When you do eventually get that gecko and you unbox it, trust me, that adrenaline, that dopamine hit you're going to get at that point is going to be so much better if you have earned it and you know you're not in debt. So have fun. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, please like, subscribe. We're blowing up right now as a channel, and I really appreciate every single one of you that has subscribed in the last month. You guys have made this such a great and fun journey. So thank you so much. You guys are the best fans ever. Have a good one. Hey, if you've enjoyed this video and want to encourage me to make more Gargoyle Gecko content, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, share this with a friend, and maybe check out one of the videos right over there. I'll see you next time on Gecko Cove.